How Could You podcast. I'm Lauren Tocci.
And I'm Ryan Tocci. Well, Lauren, that went exactly as we expected.
Totally as we predicted. Not one category different, except that one.
Wow, did that land with a thud at the end?
It was like all of the oxygen just got sucked out of the room at Union Station in one foul swoop.
Well, audience, you are here for our brief, or for us brief, wrap-up show of the Oscars. After this entire April month of Oscar month, we had our history show, we had our prediction show, and now today is our wrap-up show. The ceremony just ended a little while ago, and yeah, like you said, all the excitement and oxygen just taken out of the room, both at the show and in our own space.
Yes, and I think, honestly, the panicked look on your face and our two friends' faces when the last award was announced was, made me feel like a rank psychopath, honestly.
Well, I'm just quite happy that after your last proclamation on the last show that you would burn down the house, that it's still standing. I'm going to say is a win for us, but
well, here's the thing. We can't record the episode if I burn the house to the ground.
Fair.
So if you were listening to this, then you're probably very well aware that Best Actor in a Leading Role did not go to Chadwick Boseman, and instead went to Anthony Hopkins for The Father, which also was the last award of the night.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a double down of just the Oscars bet on themselves and lost majorly.
Yes, because, so, to explain this dynamic, if you hadn't watched the ceremony, so traditionally, for as many years as I can count, Best Picture has been the last award that is given at the end of the night, which feels like the perfect end cap to the evening.
Absolutely should be.
Because, when you think about Oscars history, we talk about it in terms of Best Picture winners, so it seems to make sense it should be the last award. So when it got awarded before the Best Actress and Best Acting category, I think a narrative very clearly sprung in our minds of the last award is going to be Best Actor, and it's going to go to Chadwick Boseman, and although a somber moment, it's going to be this thing that ends the ceremony in a really important, in a way that's going to resonate with a lot of people. And then that's just not what happened.
No. Yeah, this ceremony, I mean, we're going to get talking a little bit about the entire ceremony, but let's talk about the big stuff right at the top.
Yes.
Here, right? That from about the last 20 minutes, the in memoriam on the show just went drastically downhill.
Yeah.
And some of that is production. Some of that is, I think, timing was playing a factor because the show went very late.
Yeah.
And then I think, again, as you are alluding to, the Oscars, Soderbergh, who was producing, or they made a decision to try to end the show with what everybody thought was Chadwick Boseman getting this Oscar that he so richly deserved, and when he didn't, there was just, in the audience, you could hear a groan.
The reason you know that this so did not play well in the room, now granted, if you were watching the telecast, then you were very well aware of the fact there weren't many people in the room. It was really the prime nominees, and that was about it. But there was no shot to the crowd when he won, which is incredibly telling because you can tell probably the reaction was not.
So let's kind of go back here. So we have the in memoriam that comes up, and they cut in about halfway through Angela Bassett talking.
Yes, which just seems like a poor timing for that production issue. Part.
Yeah. And then the in memoriam, we all kind of in our room agreed that it felt very rushed this year. The song was a strange choice, I felt. So that just felt off.
I think
for some
the
reason.
Song would have been fine if the montage had been paced better.
So that was, and then you get to the end of that, which has Chadwick Boseman, which obviously gives you this emotional feel.
And I had said to you later on, I was like, yes, it did. It had that pang of, he's not here to accept his award, because it hadn't been awarded yet. But I had kind of almost told myself, don't get emotional yet, because he's about to win, and his widower is going to come up on stage, his widow is going to come up on stage. And that part's going to be really emotional. So the part where you're going to feel the sadness for that loss is still upcoming.
Right, you're very proud and somber moment at the same time. So then we get into the part that just throws us a left turn. Best Picture, as you've alluded to again. Best Picture comes up, and we're in the, what? What do you mean Best Picture's coming up?
Yeah.
Why is this the next category? We still have the acting categories. So that was very bizarre. We still weren't even 100% sure they were going to announce it at the end of, after talking about all the films.
Well, and that was, like, the weird thing. And now, granted, we were very happy with the win for Nomadland. Like, that's,
And all right, and if you should we talk about that right now, or do you want to jump back to that?
No, we can talk about that now.
So, here's the moment of
Chloe Zhao winning
Nomadland, and great movie, deserves the Oscar.
100%.
A lot of great films this year, but this one, and I think what happened here is the Academy figured it started being the writing was on the wall that Nomadland was going to take this home.
And I think, honestly, probably the thought process was with the production is this. Nomadland's going to win for Best Picture, which is amazing, but people are anticipating it. And the Best Actress category was really wide open. Mm-hmm. And the Best Actor, although, as we maybe had thought, not as wide open, was going to have this deep emotional resonance. So I think the thought process was the show is going to end on a very big note in both surprise and resonance. So therefore, we can give Best Picture earlier, which I think is a mistake, but we can give Best Picture earlier because something big and bold is going to happen during Actress, and then something really important is going to happen during Actor. And that's neither of those two things happened, which makes Best Picture given early feel very weird.
Agreed. But so Nomadland wins, which should be this big moment. You have a film led by a female, a film that's directed by a female, written by a female. Mm-hmm. And I believe some of the producers.
I think some of the producers were females as well.
So, and this beautiful film should have its moment. And not to say that it didn't. It just felt odd. It felt off.
Because we're all anticipating the sequence of events differently.
Clap to it. It got it. It was probably in the end the one that deserved to get the Oscar. So that happens, and then we get to Best Actress. And again, there just seemed to be a mood out of the room. I don't know what it was.
I think here's the thing.
And this should have been the most suspenseful. This should have been the big moment.
And then it just wasn't. And here's the reason why. And listen, Frances McDormand has a really great performance in Nomadland, but I think, so you and I talked a lot about this as there are 4 people we'd be okay with winning, and I think the problem was as we got closer to the ceremony, in my mind, I was like, okay, but there's 3 people I'd be okay with winning, and nothing against Frances McDormand's performance, it's beautiful, but again, and I know I've said this before, she didn't have to do as much. And I know that's not fair 100% because, again, you are comparing things that are not alike. But the fact that this did not go to Viola Davis or Andra Day or Carey Mulligan, I feel like one of them winning, this feels like a little bit more fun at that part of the evening.
Yeah, and again, this is the perfect storm of things that happened here. Because Frances McDormand wins, and everybody knows Frances McDormand. She's a little quirky. Let's go with that.
Yeah, that's a good
word for it. She's a little eccentric. She's her acceptance speeches can be a little bit off the wall. So she wins. She just won the Best Actress not that long ago. And then she gets up there and she gives a very it depends on, some people are going to like it. I think to you and I, it almost came across as, oh, got another one of these.
It is how it felt. I can't deny that. And listen, I don't need something like overly gracious. Although, listen, I love a really emotional acceptance speech. I think it was more to the point of it felt like she was ho-hum about it. And in my mind immediately, I thought Viola Davis, so a friend recently said this and I entirely agree with it. Like, she's the best actress working right now. That would have felt really fun. Or Andra Day, first acting performance and awarded for this lifetime role. Or Carey Mulligan, who has been nominated previously when she was in An Education, and she was incredible, getting it for this really feeling like a revolutionary type role in Promising Young Woman. Any 3 of those performances and acceptance speeches would have been a lot more fun.
And I want to say something in defense of the Frances McDormand, and I've gone back and forth, because on one end, it's a film that you look at and you almost kind of go, it feels like Frances McDormand's just playing herself, like just going around.
Yes, of course.
But on the same token, and again, you were on a recent show, and this came up, and somebody mentioned it, and I'll agree. So it's not my thought, but I agree with it, which is it's very hard to act with non-actors, and she's doing that throughout this film, and
to blend so easily.
So there is something that really has to be commended for that. So I don't want to take away necessarily her winning the actress award. But I agree with you. I think what starts to happen at the end of the show is it starts to suck the wind out of the room. It just didn't feel exciting.
No, it didn't. It
didn't feel like an exciting win.
No, it didn't. There was nothing that felt exciting about it. And then so it's like you have this thing. And then it's like, okay, but guys, the Chadwick Boseman win is coming. So it's going to end in this big crescendo. And then they announced Anthony Hopkins. And then Anthony Hopkins wasn't anywhere to accept his award, so the night doesn't even end on a speech.
Does what everybody wanted the Oscars to end with, which was a picture of Anthony Hopkins.
A picture of Anthony Hopkins. And no end to the telecast. Yeah. No montage. No cuts to the crowd.
Questlove was doing his best to try to play it out there. But
can I say, all the credit to him for trying to do something in that moment to redeem what had just happened.
Listen, I don't know Questlove. If I did, you would have known this. But he looked strained to do it. Like, you can see there was almost a confusion, like, oh my gosh.
Like, this just happened.
I have to be professional, and I have to continue forward, but yeah, that was a bummer.
Like, no one's excited by that.
And I'm going to say it was we talked about this a lot after the show with our friends. It was the wrong move. And the one thing I will say on why it was the wrong move was because as much as I think in theory it sounds great that had Chadwick Boseman won the Oscar and you have that moment, I think there was a couple of problems with it. One being you could be wrong, which is what we got, and you got it felt more painful. Because it hurt more. Because
it did.
Because essentially you set it up for everybody to feel that moment was coming, and then when it didn't, it just stung even more that he's not here, and now he didn't even get the recognition that he felt like he deserved. And in a lot of ways, it stank for Anthony Hopkins.
Well, and
who had an amazing performance.
But it doesn't get to feel celebratory because he didn't make a speech. And then additionally on top of it, and I know, you and I have talked about this, like about those performances, but like, and I will still favor pound for pound performance. Chadwick Boseman still deserves to win. And then additionally, I think there is a catharsis that comes with that being awarded because we're all very sad. Anyone who's a fan or even, kind of a fan of Chadwick Boseman feels that loss because of the career that could have been and how many wonderful performances we had gotten from him in the short time that he was with us. And I think that catharsis would have been really important because you give people on a global scale like the Oscars to grieve collectively and to let out that sigh and to have those tears, but also to get to be grateful for what we were given. And you didn't give anyone the moment to feel their feelings and to be grateful for what they had. You don't award one of the most stunning performances, and this is not me just being hyperbolic because it's past midnight and we've watched the Oscars, one of the most stunning performances I've ever seen in my life, and then you don't even give me the opportunity or give all of us I'm being selfish when I say it like that, give all of us collectively the opportunity to celebrate it. I feel tricked and cheated by that. And then, as our friend Very pointed out, so then we just end on Best Actor, as though that's the most important thing about a movie.
Well, yeah, you get that. And like we said, it doesn't give Nomadland its moment, which it deserved. And I don't think fully. And then I also think, and the other part to what I was saying earlier was, even by choosing to do the Chadwick Boseman, or if that had been what occurred, I think would have been a bad look too, because to me it would have looked like, Oh, we already knew.
No, and you said that after the ceremony, and I totally agreed with you.
And, yeah, it just...
And I think the part of the problem is when you said that at the time, I was thinking, yeah, but no, I want it to end there. But
I would have taken that way before.
Well, yeah. But I think you're exactly right. It would have seemed, and I think the problem was you have to wonder, and I'm sure there are interviews that'll come out about this, but you have to wonder, was there a hearty assumption made and a structure decided upon? Because here's the thing. If Soderbergh had committed to the form of, we are going to present the award...
When we say Soderbergh, if people don't understand, Soderbergh was the producer and director of the Academy Awards this year. And
Steven Soderbergh, a very famous director, Ocean's 11 being one of his biggest titles. Like, he is someone who is very well known in Hollywood, very much a Hollywood insider. And earlier in the ceremony, there seemed to be somewhat this commitment to, this is going to feel like a movie. And then I thought they were structuring the awards, like, almost like... You would award them in the order in which they appeared in development, but that would have meant that the acting awards would have come much earlier in the night, and that all of the technical and editing awards would have been towards the end, and then you would have ended with Best Picture because it's when the film is finished that it's a Best Picture. That actually thematically to me would have made a lot of sense. But then they so diverted from that early that I was like, oh, okay, so we're not doing that. He
gave up on his quote-unquote theme about 5 minutes into the broadcast. I want to say this. This is going to come across as an I told you so. But it's more of a, why did the Academy not know this? I sent you an email on Wednesday.
Yes, you did.
What did the email say?
The email said, you need to prepare yourself because more traction is gaining about the father, and I don't know if this is going to go the way you want it.
So if I know this...
Yeah.
I mean, I love our podcast, but I'm not thinking that we are the insiders of Hollywood.
I'd like to think that we are. No, but you...
How does the Academy not prepare for that?
100%.
Especially after the BAFTA win.
And here's the thing. You had sent me that email, and, like, I had a pit in my stomach because and yes... Audience, that is actually how I felt. I had a pit in my stomach because I thought to myself, no, but it can't possibly happen. And then as this weekend wore on, I had committed myself so thoroughly and fully to Chadwick Boseman is going to win. This is going to be a great Oscars moment. It's going to be a hard Oscars moment because, like, here's the thing that is always going to disappoint me about this. Chadwick Boseman, for many reasons, is a voice of a generation. Even if you just take his work as Black Panther, just taking that and its significance and its importance within cinematic history, cultural history, I mean, like, just American history at that, if you just take that into account, the importance of awarding someone who very, very sadly, this was his last time to be recognized. And the fact that you didn't do that is just never going to sit right with me. I think I boldly declared at the end of the telecast, I'm done with the Academy, because that's how badly I feel this. It really bothers me. And listen, there are 1,000 slights the Academy has made. There is a representation issue in the Academy that runs incredibly deep for the length of its history. So I understand that my upset feelings about Chadwick Boseman winning is a very small drop in a very much bigger pond of issues. So I understand that. But it just felt like this is a performance that should have been awarded that wasn't, and I'm going to really need someone to explain to me in a cohesive manner and explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old why this didn't happen.
Yeah, and I want to get to some of the other categories.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is very ranty in the beginning.
No, I mean, I'm with you. I can't argue with any of it. It just all feels just bad. And again, I am somebody that will sing the praises of the Anthony Hopkins performance. It is an Oscar-worthy performance, and that's the awkwardness of it. But unfortunately, decisions by the Academy on their show and the unfortunate, him not getting it, you end with the old white guy getting an award.
Yeah, who didn't even show up for the speech.
Okay, I'm going to give him a little credit. He's an 80-year-old man that was 6 hours ahead of time.
They
so
could
it was
have
like
zoomed
4
from
o'clock in the
home.
morning.
Come on, now you're accepting an Academy Award. I don't buy it. And I love Anthony
Because
Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins probably also thought he wasn't getting the award.
And here's the thing, I 100% could understand that. And please understand, if you're listening to this, you're like, but that's a great performance. No, you're 100% right. I will still say that Chadwick Boseman's performance is much better. And then additionally, on top of that, the hardship here is that you just have someone who really deserved the Oscar who didn't get it. And I know this happens, but it's the first time, again, and listen, I felt this previously with a Best Picture winner, but this is one that just feels different. And this is the thing, I want to be reflective in a positive way too. There are a lot of things we liked about tonight. I love the altered version of the red carpet. It felt like a really cool garden party I wanted to be at. I think it allowed for more relaxed interviews, probably more staged interviews if I'm being honest, but a little bit more relaxed interviews because I think ABC had a really controlling gaze on it. And actually that beginning portion made me very hopeful for the ceremony because I went, oh man, they're going to really have a tight hold on all of this. Chloe Zhao winning for Nomadland for Best Director.
Before we get into the categories, do you want to talk about the show as a whole or the...
Let's talk about the show as a whole. No, let's talk about the show as a whole. You're right. So the
because
show...
I have to go negative.
Okay, that's fair. Here's the thing. I'm going to go positive first.
No, please do.
I liked the
We need some positive.
Yeah. I liked the intimacy of it in some ways. I missed the spectacle of the Dolby Theater and, hundreds of people being together. But in light of life as it is, I really enjoyed the intimacy of it. It did feel like just a select few at a supper club that we were all getting to watch, which can, I think, come across weird. But I kind of liked it because it was all people I knew at that supper club. So I enjoyed that part of it. I liked Regina King opening it. They should just let her host it. I was very encouraged by the opening of, her walking down the blue carpet into Union Station. I was, really buckled in for, give me some spectacle. Let's do this thing. Because Steven Soderbergh's whole purpose was it was going to feel like a movie when you watched it. That is not exactly
It did not. It did not at all.
It felt like a movie where I got really tricked at the end.
Right.
Where, the final girl didn't make it out alive. That's how it felt. But
I have to say, this is my least favorite Oscars. And that's not from the award. There's a lot of awards tonight that I love.
Yeah, sure.
But from a broadcast standpoint, and I just had the conversation with you before the show about people that complain about this award show, and I don't understand why. And now I'm going to sit here and do the same thing. It didn't feel like the Academy. I am trying to take everything into account, and I understand a lot of changes had to be made. It didn't. It felt just very dry to me throughout the night. It felt very muted. A lot of the things that I know you and some of the two others that are our friends Jess and Jesse that we were watching it with enjoyed some of the interacting with the actors and stuff as they were given the nominations. I hated all of it. The part that they couldn't do anything about was I missed the Dolby. That big auditorium and being in front of it. It felt Globes-like, and that's not a good thing for me.
No, I get what you're saying.
I didn't like it didn't feel grand enough. And maybe that's why we get the ending that we do. Maybe we deserve the ending that we got.
No, we don't deserve the ending that we got. But can I tell you, I do understand what you're saying. There is and I think that's something that I felt more as we got deeper into the show, because you realize that some of those cut to reactions shots that happen during acceptance speeches are really part of the atmosphere that you enjoy when you're at home, of when you have this person who's winning for documentary short subject, and then you're seeing people react to it in these really positive ways. You realize that's some of the fun too from the home perspective. So it's almost like the intimacy can feel a little awkward because you're not used to being that close to it.
Right.
When you're in when you're normally in a grand place like the Dolby Theater.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So I mean, I just didn't like what I appreciate it. They had to try something. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
I missed the red carpet the way that it was, and I understand there was parts that I liked about it. I actually liked the musical performances being before the show, although I'm still trying to figure out how you took the performances before the show and still ran over time by 20 minutes.
Yeah, it is actually pretty confounding how that ends up happening.
Because the only bit they did the entire night was guess the song, was the song a nominee.
It's because I think they let the speeches run longer.
Yeah, maybe.
I do think that had a big impact
and
on
I know
it.
there were some issues, too, with the satellite speeches. Those seem to go really long.
Yeah, which I'm actually not against by any means.
It just felt dry. Even the people in the audience didn't seem to be connecting with the winners.
Can I tell you what it is, too? Because everyone in the audience is a nominee. So when a movie wins, only the people from that movie are going to be celebrating it, and then you've got a room of people who have just lost.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So that does change the dynamics in a big way. So,
also, I think the seating makes it awkward.
The banquet seating.
Yeah, because you can't really give up and give those standing ovation moments.
No, because you've got a table in front of you.
One woman, I forget who it was, she tried to stand up and give a standing ovation. You see her hit the table and fall right back down.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I can't remember who that was. I remember seeing that and going like, oh no, because she's like at a table. Yeah. So let's talk about those moments maybe we would have stood for. So let's talk about awards that we were actually really happy to see.
You already touched upon it. Go ahead. Directing, Chloe Zhao.
We've got two females who have now won a best directing Oscar.
Well deserved.
A great acceptance speech, really beautiful, an amazing win. She has been really fun to watch in interviews, and her film is perfect and beautiful. So 100% deserving.
She just seems cool as hell.
And she really does. I want to hang out with her. She seems awesome.
I have to say, I apologize because I still haven't been able to figure out quite how to pronounce her last name.
No.
If it's Zhao or Chow.
Yeah. So, because I heard it pronounced interchangeably then during the telecast, and I'm like, and I feel awful because I want to make sure I am pronouncing her name correctly.
That's why I just wanted to say that, because if I am saying it incorrectly, I apologize.
Yeah, of course.
But I have heard people pronounce it the way that I am, so it's a little.
It's a little confusing in that way. Not obviously not on her part, on just the part of I think not consistent pronunciation done in the telecast, which I think that can make that confusing. But then I think. The win for Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman screenplay. Yes. We were definitely yelling and celebrating about that. I was so excited. Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah. Incredible speech.
Which was weird, because that was the one we thought might not get it.
And we were worried it wouldn't, but we were very excited for him to win.
He has the moment of the night. I mean, he is the best acceptance speech by far of the evening.
Felt like, you and I both said it, it was like spoken word poetry. It was so beautiful.
He's got a rhythm to the way he speaks that is
oh my gosh, and a cadence and a way
he...
The pauses he takes are so important, and you lean into those pauses, and I think that's what makes him it's so much more exciting than when he wins, because you're just I'm going to hear something really profound.
So he says that in their acceptance speech that I'm happy my mom and dad had sex. I mean, that was
genius. The fact that they could cut to his mom, by the way, was just
his sister looking horrifying.
Yeah, and so that
but such a well-deserved win. I'm 100%. So glad that he got that. He seemed gracious across the board.
Yeah, and just really and honestly so excited. I'd seen him in an interview during the red carpet, him saying I'm going to turn up at the end of the night, and just having fun, and it's that's what you want it to be. You want it to be something that feels fun, and obviously it's so incredibly deserved. So having that mixture of so excited, so fun, and yet so understanding of you've played this, not only this incredible part, but this part that has such intense importance for a variety of reasons, just becomes really cool when you can see someone really embracing all parts of that. It's just, and I don't think that's easy for everyone to do, because I do think it takes a real gracious and selflessness to be able to do all of those things at the same time. And I think almost selfish of us to want that, but when it happens, it feels like Oscars magic. Yes, and he felt like Oscars magic tonight. And then I would say that Yoo Jung-yoon winning for Minari, she had a great speech too.
She did.
Oh, it's just so sweet.
She was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. That's why, that's the weird thing. I didn't love necessarily how they were doing the show, but some of these wins, even the ones that we predicted were going to happen, and that's a funny one, because if you heard our show, we were like, Glenn Close. But had you kind of listened to us or talked to us throughout the week, we kind of changed completely on that. You did an Oscar show for Steel Stacks, and you had even said you predicted her to win, said she should win and will win. Type of situation. And I think we both, by the time the show actually started, really felt that she was going to win, and then got up there and gave a really just fun speech.
Yeah, and just a really incredible. And I love how I always love when people reference like really early parts of their career. I always think that's like really cool to see. I loved Amanda Seyfried's moment when she was giving her speech and she just mouthed. It was such a genuine, beautiful moment. Oh my God, I love her.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was really cool. I'm
going to make a thing. Amanda Seyfried is obviously a big actress, Yeah. So there's not... I think tonight was a moment for her.
Oh, entirely.
She didn't win, but this reminded me of Jennifer Lawrence a couple years ago, where she had this moment where, like, you went, she's not taking home the award, but she's going to be the next... and again, this isn't even to step on her career because she's had a fantastic career so far.
Of course, yeah.
But she looked like a movie star tonight. Yeah. She had that moment like you're talking about.
She's great on the red carpet.
Great on the red carpet. Yeah. I think there's going to be a huge upswing in her career. Not to take away from the moment of the winner, but that was.
It just felt like one of those cool Oscars moments where someone's really just being so genuinely grateful for their experience and so appreciative of the talent of someone else who was nominated against you. I just think that's cool because I don't think I could be that selfless. I think I'd be petty and be like, no, I want to win. But that she was just, I don't know, I agree with you. I think it's one of those cool Oscars
I feel like I saw a lot more of that tonight.
I want to win. Yeah, there was a little bit more of that. And then it's some of I think the other categories that maybe we didn't talk about in our prediction show were kind of interesting. Soul's winning for original score, I thought was a really great win. Because it was just something I really enjoyed the acceptance speech. I like how he talked about music teachers and musicians. I just thought that was very cool.
Even is it Atticus Ross that won for score?
It was it's three people. It's I can't remember all of their names, but Atticus Ross is one of them.
I apologize. I don't know the name of the gentleman that actually spoke, but he was terrific.
His speech was great. Yeah.
I think the moment of the night, and I have a feeling you're going to agree.
What's that?
Because it hit every part that you want out of an acceptance speech has to go to Thomas Vinterberg.
Oh my God.
For winning for international feature film, I apologize. For another round, his acceptance speech that's an Oscar speech. And for both the worst reasons and the most
it hits you in
emotional
the
reasons, because he had such an horrible tragedy happen.
Yeah, and if you don't know this, so he was slated to start a film. His daughter was to not star in the film, but co-star against Mads Mikkelsen. She was played the child of one of the main characters, and she was tragically taken in a car accident where the other driver was unfortunately texting and driving. And this was 4 days before production, so production had to...
I believe it was 4 days into production.
4 days into production, you are right. So then production had to go to another person for a little while. I don't think very long. I want to say a week or so, maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then he jumped back into production. Her classmates actually star in the film as well. There's a moment where you see a classroom of kids, and those are her classmates. Because she was to be in the film. It's a really hard thing to know than watching the film, and especially how the film celebrates life.
Yeah.
But the fact that he could speak about that but talk about celebrating life was so emotional.
Yeah.
And he spoke so beautifully about his daughter and her legacy and this film. Oh,
what was amazing about his speech was, like I said, he got his thank yous in. He acknowledged. He made poignant statements. He talked about those that he needed to hit and talk and thank, and then to have that to really just give her moment.
It was really beautiful.
For him, for her, it was just beautiful, and that's the moment I want to remember from this Oscars.
That and Daniel Kaluuya's one, Kaluuya was one. So I think that's those are kind of the two moments I point to and kind of go, those are really. One obviously a very emotional spot, but kind of really strong moments in the telecast. And it's hard because it's you can hear us talk about those things, be well, you started out really in Negativesville, PA, but it's, I mean, listen, that's the ebb and flow of the Oscars sometimes, is you can be really excited and honestly, if you had asked me 3/4 of the telecast through to record this podcast, I would have been full of energy and like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. All the adaptations, woo! And then, unfortunately, that back quarter was just rough. And unfortunately, that is the part people are going to remember.
Well, and that's, again, I mean, not to beat on this and too long, but it is... You have the Academy, which has had a representation problem. It has been being talked about for the last bunch of years, really in the forefront. It felt like this is the year for change on all of that. You know, you had these great, you know, people winning these awards and starting to get some representation in there. You should have had that moment with Nomadland winning, you know. Yeah. Finishing it off, but instead we're left with, again, an old white gentleman winning the Academy Award as your last thing, and then no acceptance speech. It could not have ended worse or more flat. And again, I don't mean to say it in that such way. It was like, no, this was supposed to feel different this year. It's been such a different year. This is supposed to start to be that change that we get, that it's so much, you know, diversity in it, and that's what we want to see.
And the thing is like, to your point, 100%, and then also it's like, the performances were just more deserved. Like, again, like, I can't say that enough. Chadwick Boseman deserved to win. It's so hard.
This is where you and I will, just on the slight end, I don't want to take away from Anthony Hopkins' performance was an Oscar-worthy performance.
It was.
Chadwick Boseman, and you and I agree, Chadwick Boseman was better.
Chadwick Boseman's performance was better. And that's, I think, all I'm saying here is you have a better performance.
This isn't Green Book. I think that's what I'm trying to get at.
No. This isn't like Crash winning. Like, this
feels like it hurts worse.
This hurts worse because the pain of this is there's not a second shot here.
There's not a second shot.
There's not a...
You don't get to just rail on Green Book, because we're not going to rail on Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins is a treasure.
Yeah, he's an amazing actor, and he gives an amazing performance. The problem is that there's going to be no consolation Oscar. It's not like at some point there's going to be another performance. They go, well, let's give it to Chadwick Boseman for this one because he didn't win it for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. That's just never going to happen, and that's the hardest part of this Oscars, is you come out just going... They got it wrong, and it is very hard sometimes for me to say that. As much as I love the Oscars, this is a night where I just leave going, you got it wrong, and I don't know how you get your voting base to understand how wrong their choice was. And that's the hard part, because there were other really great choices made throughout the night, but this is just one where I point to and go, this is not right.
I feel like we probably come at it two different ways. I feel the choosing to make that change made it all feel worse.
And I think that's fueling this for me. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I think because in my head, the narrative had been set.
Yeah.
This is going to be the last award of the night. Mm-hmm. And then for the last award of the night to not even have an acceptance speech feels like, well, this doesn't feel like the Oscars. And then it just cut telecast.
Right. Yeah, nothing.
And they sent us home.
Nothing after.
And you could even see the post-Oscar shows the little bit before we started recording. I don't think they knew how to talk about it. Like, I don't think they knew how to approach. They were trying to find that silver lining. And then the problem is then we end up talking about, you know, what we're disappointed in, instead of getting to be like, hey, Nomadland winning is pretty dang cool, everybody. Like, we don't get to do that part of it.
My brother had sent me a text earlier in the day not believing that Nomadland should win. I totally disagreed with him.
Why did he didn't think it should win?
Because it didn't make enough money. I don't know, something like that. I think Sonic the Hedgehog made the most money last year.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
No offense to Sonic the Hedgehog.
It should not win. Best Picture.
Wait, who was the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog?
Oh my gosh! How did Ben Schwartz end up in this? You know what? I'll give you $5 if you can get Bill Hader somehow into this conversation. But here's the thing. I mean, the Oscars are always exciting. They allow for debate. I do think this is going to be one of those misses that ends up on lists. I do think people are going to feel pretty oppositional about this telecast. I'll be really interested to see what kind of the reviews are tomorrow. But we just wanted to record our review for posterity.
Yeah.
And because we're full of, like, caffeine and sugar, and we're like, we need to talk about the Oscars, and we felt that you all needed to hear it.
There was a lot of great a lot of great performances got rewarded tonight.
Yes.
And I think that is important, and I think you and I probably should have talked a little more about that.
Emerald Fennell winning is amazing. Chloe Zhao winning is amazing.
Yeah. That's what I said. You take those first bunch. I mean, really, if you just take out the two acting categories, actor and actress, this would probably be a very extremely positive.
Because the supporting roles
extremely positive conversation.
Oh yeah, supporting roles, screenplay makes me happy. Like directing makes me happy.
I'm still a little upset with us.
I am still
Mank over Nomadland. I don't understand.
I'm not. Yeah, someone's gonna really have to explain that one to me. I feel really happy and excited about a lot of the things I saw, even in the shorts, because you and I had watched some of the shorts. Like the shorts, definitely the ones that we didn't see Colette, which one for documentary short subject, but we saw the animated short, If Anything Happens, I Love You, and we saw the live action short, Two Distant Strangers. They both won. They both are phenomenal. So it's 40
minutes of your life. Go check it out on Netflix.
Yeah, because you can watch them. They're not easy, but they're really worth it.
Going back to kind of start to finish this all out. I will say, and we talked about it, I'm going to say it again, it was a great year of film. These 8 films that were nominated for Oscars, I will go back and say all Best Pictures deserve a watch. They all have merit, and they're all very good in their own way.
No, I completely agree with you. I do think it's a really great year in film, despite our own personal disappointments with what really comes down to one category in particular, maybe two in particular. It was I think there were a lot of things that got awarded tonight. And I also think a lot of films that I would continue to recommend past Oscar season. Particularly if there are 4 of them, of the 8, that I would say are must-watches.
Throw in One Night in Miami there for a 9th.
Oh, yeah. If you don't understand that already, please just watch One Night in Miami.
I do have to address the last thing.
Go ahead.
The bet, if anybody's listening. So, to kind of, it feels like it's fitting.
It's very fitting of tonight.
Cared about our bet. So, so our bet was going to be whoever won got to pick our 9th episode. The other one was not allowed to veto it by any means, so the other one had full reign. And at the end of the day, for the first time ever in our Oscar bets,
we tied.
We had a tie.
With no tiebreaker planned.
We never thought to have
because this literally has never happened.
Who planned this bet? Soderbergh?
Honestly, it may be the most unpredictable part of the night, because you and I have never tied before in our Oscars bet since 2004.
Yeah. So I'm going to figure out a way that we can end this tiebreaker. I'll know it by our next show. I don't have it now, which I feel will be fair. I have a couple ideas brewing, but
okay. I'm
so we
intrigued.
Can sort this out. But hey, congratulations!
Hey, congratulations!
Thank you,
and thank you if you are listening. This ends our Oscars programming for the year, which I say with a lot of bittersweet tones in my voice. If you're not already following us on Instagram, please follow us at How Could You Podcast, on Twitter at How Could You Pod. You can email suggestions to howcouldyoupodcast@gmail.com. Please subscribe, leave a review if you have time to do so, and join us soon as we will get back to our normally scheduled programming. We'll be talking about movies. That's our normally scheduled programming.
And to kind of close this out, I do want to leave us on a very positive high note. And I'm going to just read verbatim Chloe Zhao's Best Director acceptance speech to close this out tonight. And that is, "I've always found goodness in the people I met everywhere, and I went in the world. So this is for anyone who has the faith and the courage to hold on to the goodness in themselves and in each other. Until next time, enjoy the Odyssey."